Hello and welcome to Drunk Talk, the Lord of the Rings podcast book club for people who love Lord of the Rings, people who like podcasts and hate feckin' book clubs. Now, I am your host Ross. Before we get into it, folks, a quick announcement. Amidst some controversy, we have a change to the lineup this week. We are without one of the podcast stalwarts, the Bull McCabe, who won't be joining us this week amidst much controversy. Although he did reach out to me to say that he's a busy man, he's got a young child and a wife, and he's just busy saying unavailable for recording. He previously also reached out to say to me that he felt like he got a bit of bullying, a bit of a hard touch on the last two podcasts, and listening back as host, I feel like we got away from it a little bit. I think he's I hope there's no hard feelings. Bull, if you're listening, and I'm sure you are, we love you. Please come back. And we won't do it again, I promise. There's no need for beef between you and I, Bull. I've already got Ralph Bakshi on my list of enemies. God, I'm trying to squash that. I can't be spending much time squashing beef with you as well. Please forgive us. Hello, and yes, welcome back to Drunk Talk, the Lord of the Rings podcast book club for boys who like cans. On the call today, we have myself, your host Ross, as per usual, and we've also got some of the usual suspects. We've got my little brother, Oisín.
Well, what's the crack? How's it going?
Oisín, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks.
And what are you drinking?
Tonight's tipple is from the Molson Brewery, another Coors Light.
Another Coors Light? Another? How does that work?
I have a box that I'm going to need to get rid of, so I'm just going to...
You didn't buy that box yourself,
that'll be my drink
did
for
you?
a few weeks. No, I think it might have been a leftover Christmas thing.
Well, at the end of the day, who buys Coors Light for themselves? So that makes sense, but more power to you. And of course, we got another usual suspect on the call here on the podcast. We've got the General Owen Duffy. Owen, how the hell are you?
Good. How are you, Ross?
Yes, thanks, Owen. Bit of back and forth. And Owen, what are you drinking?
I have in front of me here a Galway hooker.
A Galway hooker, yeah, but what are you drinking?
Oh, right, sorry, wrong. I'm drinking a Guinness here. No. I'm on the Galway hooker.
Very good. But what is a Galway hooker to some of our international or less learned listeners?
This is an Irish pale ale. And I've actually, again, like the last time, this is my first one as well. And yeah, it's all right. It's not bad.
An Irish pale ale. So it's
Irish
kind of like you've tried an IPA, but now try an IPA.
Yeah.
Do you just go into the offie with your eyes closed and pick at random?
I just, pretty much, yeah. Well, I shop in Dunn's and they've got a class off license. So I just stroll around in the ale section. I'm like, yeah, I'll have one of them for the podcast. Because I'll usually have one ale anyway, and then a few beers after that. But yeah, no, I'm enjoying it. It's nice.
Well, Owen, it's great to hear from you, and we're delighted to have you back. Now, ladies and gentlemen, have I got a treat for you on our podcast today. In replacement for the Bull McCabe, we have gone above and beyond.
Drum roll,
We've
please.
got an extra special guest today, and I'm excited to have him on the call. This man is a living legend around the locality. A larger than life figure, weighing in at around 250 pounds, 6'10" if he's a foot tall. He quite literally built the house he lives in with his own bare hands. Probably didn't even use tools. He built himself a gym, and word around the town is he hunts his own dinners. You know him, or you certainly will. We know him. He's the legend, Deggy. How are you?
How's it going, Ross? How are you? That's some intro. That is some intro. How am I ever meant to live up to something like that?
Buzzing to have you on, lad. Absolutely buzzing.
Well, listen, when I heard the bull couldn't make it, and the metaphorical beacons were lit, like the Riders of Rohan, I was like, somebody's got to come here and save the day. And here I am.
And look, listen, we all miss the bull. We all do. But
Of
we're not
course.
going to compare him to you. It wouldn't be fair to him.
No comparison needed, No
one comes out well out of that comparison.
Fucking no, not at all. It doesn't even deserve a comparison.
And Daggy, are you a fan of the show?
Listen, massive fan. You know, I think you should make that getting rid of that bull fella a permanent fixture. You know, but apart from that, you know,
we could be onto something here.
No, listen, I won't have it. I'm putting the foot down here. There's no bullying in the Bull McCabe. We want him to come back on. Miss him dearly.
Bull, you know I love you.
Putting the foot down, lads. I won't have it. No,
Yeah.
move on.
Bull, you know I love you.
So before we get into this week's podcast, Daggy, a few quick questions. Firstly, you know, get the formalities out of the way. What are you drinking?
I am drinking a Belgian white called Blue Moon.
Blue Moon. Oh, classic.
Blue Moon.
I remember, Declan, myself and yourself would have been no more than 16 or 17, and we had a crate of gone off Blue Moon, out of date, and it was a little bit fermented. And it was the most disgusting thing I've ever drank in my life. And do you know what? I've liked Blue Moon ever since.
They were the glory days, you know. Beer never tasted so good.
Is that the citrusy one?
It is.
No, I know it.
So, Daggy, are you a fan of Lord of the Rings?
Ross, I'm a fan of two things, right? In my life, I'm a fan of two things. Podcasts and Lord of the Rings. When you rang me, I couldn't say no, like, you know? This is a dream for me.
Well, we made it for you, Daggy.
I appreciate it.
And, Daggy, have you read the books before?
I got to about midway through The Two Towers, and then I don't know what happened. Something catastrophic must have happened in my life for me not to finish it. So I'm very much looking forward to getting back in there and finishing what I started.
Yes, absolutely, Daggy. Absolutely. And more than anything else, we're happy to be on this journey with you. And outside of the movies then, have you consumed any other Lord of the Rings media?
As in, like, apart from this show, like memes and such as?
Sure, I don't know, Daggy. Like, I guess some other podcasts, some video games, and all like that.
Return of the King for PlayStation 2 was probably the pinnacle of gaming for me. It was something else.
Yes, it's been mentioned on the show before.
Yeah, it's
actually.
hard to beat.
Agreed.
You know, that level with the elephant, like that took me about 2 solid weeks of hard graft to get by. You know, but
and do you know what it is? It's not even that difficult, like as a trial of skill. It's like a certain path that you have to go down a hill, but the camera doesn't pan over the hill, and it makes it like a trial and error type situation. It's really frustrating, but it's a knack. Once you've got it, you can keep doing it. But no, a great game. And I hope you've all done your homework, for fuck's sake.
Definitely have.
I'm looking at you, Daggy. I was in school with you, and you never did any fucking homework for 3 years.
I did more homework for this podcast than I've ever done for anything else. So that'll let you know. I might be barely prepared.
Well, lucky we are podcast professionals, so
if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life, huh?
Well, this is a good time as any to mention the Patreon if you want some exclusive content,
Pay us
interviews
millions,
with the lads,
please.
and whatever other shite we've come up with to put up in there. It's probably worth a go. Actually, no, it definitely is what I'm saying. And so this week, ladies and gentlemen, we are concentrating on chapter 1. That's right, we're finally getting into the book. A long expected party. So yeah, I mean, we've obviously called this show a long expected podcast because it took us a while to get here. And I don't know about you lads, but it starts off on a very bittersweet note. Does this book? I certainly started this podcast because I miss going to the pub and having cans or drinks with the boys and talking shite. And of course, the first scene in this whole fucking book is in a pub of all places. What did you make of that, Owen?
It's it hurts, you know, reading it and then not being able to experience it. Well, it kind of made me more excited for this evening, you know. But yeah, fucking hell, I miss
pubs were good, weren't they?
That pint of Guinness, that pint of Guinness, the proper one.
I mean, very quickly, I don't know about you lads, but we're introduced to my favourite character in the Shire, and maybe the most underutilised character in the history of literature. And it's the Gaffer. The Gaffer. Hamfast Gaffer.
The Gaffer.
Yeah.
I mean, what can be said about that?
What a
Hamfast?
name.
You know, he's a master of spuds.
Yeah.
Could have used him on this island 150 years ago. Ocean,
Absolutely.
what did you make of the Gaffer?
What an absolute champion of a man. How he wasn't included in further chapters, I don't know. But what got me thinking about poor old Hamfast, his name's Ham, his son's name's Sam. does it go into like what the Sam's kids' names become like at the end? Like that's the shit I was thinking.
Jam.
Like what's the next name on the list? Jam, Bam, Tim Tam. I don't know where it ends.
Yeah, Clam. Yeah.
There's some strange names.
Gamgee, maybe.
Gam Gamgee.
Gam,
Where
yeah.
you'd end up.
Hamfast and Gammon.
Yeah, well, you're not going to believe this, boys, but I actually did play football with a fella called Gary McGarry.
Only in Ireland. Only in Ireland. With that
Hamfast is some man, though, isn't he? Never mind that he's a master of potatoes, but he's just sitting down there in the pub, laying down the law.
I mean, he calls people out. Like he doesn't mind calling someone out if he thinks they're full of shit. Which you got to respect.
But he
him
also called another old man daddy.
Yeah, at
Did
the
you
same
have any
time.
issues with that?
With him calling another man daddy, I've always got issues with stuff like that, Ross. I can't handle that.
Any daddy issues?
You could say I have daddy issues. Big daddy issues. Just in case there's any young, pretty girls that want to take advantage of me, If it works.
Daggy's using this as a hookup.
Jesus Christ, Deggy. What happens if your woman listens to
Dateline.
this podcast?
That's a special Patreon.
This isn't Tinder, Deggy. Come on. Keep it in your pants, lad.
Listen. I've got an OnlyFans she doesn't know about.
Link in bio.
We're all good. I'm very discreet.
And what do you reckon they were drinking in the pub?
Lord. I'd say they're stout men.
Oh, can we just go back for 1 second?
Some pint men anyway.
Sorry. Your man's name is Daddy Twofoot. What the fuck is Tolkien thinking? Anyway,
Well, it's Tolkien
Just have
token.
But this is actually as good a time as any to bring this up. So across this chapter, there were 15 Hobbit surnames mentioned, and I just wanted to call these out very
It's a
quickly.
good one for random names.
So we've got Boffin, Grub, Chubb, Burrow, Balljaw, Bracegirdle, Brockhouse, Goodbody, Hornblower, Proudfoot,
Proud feet.
Brandybuck, Tuck, Gamgee, Baggins, and Twofoot. Well, we know Underhill comes up later on. So I wanted to ask you, one by one, if you were a hobbit, what would your surname be? So I'll go to the little brother here first. So, Oisin, what do you think? Any of those standing out for you as a hobbit surname?
Oh my god, what would mine be? I don't know. Maybe Proudfoot. I'm quite tall. I don't know. That'd be quite...
Oh, and you're proud of that, are you?
I don't know. Like, is that what it'd be? You put me on the spot. I didn't think about it.
And on any particular name do you think sits comfortably with you?
To be honest, I'm not sure if you mentioned it there, but I'd probably be a Took. I just
look
think
like
a
a
Took could suit me, yeah.
Well, yeah, I can see that. Although, now that I think, a bit of a brandy buck as well. We know about your relationship with the old Toby.
Yeah, that's true, actually, yeah.
Or Deggy, any particular hobbit name that sits comfortably with you?
Yeah, I think I'd like to be a Proudfoot. Just going back to like the party itself, he slaps his big hairy foot on, and as they say,
the table. There you go.
big feet. How are you putting it out there?
Well, Deggy, after playing soccer with you for most of our adult life, I would say that you're definitely a 2-foot.
2 left foot.
Yeah, gliding across the astroturf there, taking shins and ankles all before you. Well, I can say that, with confidence, I am definitely a good body, for obvious reasons, the washboard abs.
Impeccable hairline.
Either that or maybe a hornblower, for reasons we won't get into.
Zing.
So obviously the bulk of this chapter here, lads, is Bilbo's party, and it's a big party. It's almost a festival. I mean, has anyone ever been to a party even remotely?
Oh, man. That's what I was thinking. Like, I'd never been to an event like that apart from like a festival, like going down to Electric Picnic or Oxygen back in the day. Like, that's the closest I got to a big party in a field.
That's literally it. Like, yeah, Oxygen for the Shire. That's what it is.
And what's Oxygen there for our international listeners only?
If the international listeners, it'd be like your Glastonbury. I'd say the international listeners would know that's just a 3 or 4 day.
The Burning Man of Ireland.
Yeah, just a music festival where we get all the good artists in and they play. It's just in a huge field and we drink loads of cans and we barely eat and then we drink more cans.
Where we all get sunburnt. We all get sunburnt
when there's no sun.
We're covered in muck.
I mean, it seems like definitely all of Hobbiton and then lots from outside of Hobbiton just in the Shire are at this party. Do we even know how many people live in the Shire?
I don't have a clue. It seems like 80 to 90% of people were like brought to it. And even if they didn't get invited, most of them just snuck in the back anyway and just hung out there because there was enough going around. But like, to put a number on it, I don't know, would you say 1,000? 2,000 people live in the Shire? I don't know.
That few, do you think?
I don't know.
Like, you think Bilbo could throw a party for 10,000 people?
Oh, right. Well, I know, almost all of Hobbiton was there, but Hobbiton isn't even the biggest village in the Shire.
Oh, that Michael Delvin, or whatever the hell that thing's called. Mitchell Delvin, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, there's like Delvin Woods, I think, is the capital, and there's 4 or 5 other villages. I'm fairly certain Hobbiton's one of the smaller ones. But they all seem to be related, but they all know each other. But then again, listen, we're from Ireland, and there's 6 million people on this island, and we're definitely all related. So I guess it's possible. Yeah, and big problems over here with the gene pool. Really big problems, much like Hobbiton, I'd imagine. Speaking of the gene pool, I noticed nobody's asked me what I'm drinking, you bastards.
Oh, sorry, Ross. What were you drinking?
I'm drinking some lovely Polish cans right now. I'm on the Taiski tonight. I got 4 of them for £5.
Value.
Not bad.
And it's just 500 millilitres of 5% pure gorgeous. So it is absolutely
Pure gorgeous.
When I think of a bag of cans, I think of Polish cans. It's what we grew up drinking, isn't it?
Yeah.
Grolsch, Tuborg.
They were always the cheapest too for us.
Yeah, always the cheapest and always the best. Just lovely. Now that actually leads me nicely on to my next point. So if all of Hobbiton is at this party, like if all of Hobbiton is genuinely at this party, then what are the teenage hobbits doing at this party? What are they doing? No teenager likes to be dragged to a party with their parents. Deggy, what do you think they're doing?
Oh, well, like when you look at Pippin and Mary, like, they were up to mischief. And what they must have been like, nearly coming of age time, 33. So can you imagine the mischief that the teenagers are at? It must have been.
You think the teenagers were drinking cans in fields where their parents couldn't see them and that kind of thing?
Oh, definitely. Most definitely. Sure, that's, they had to be drinking in the fields. So many fields around, ample fields to go drinking in.
Nothing but field.
Nothing but fields in the Shire. Like,
I mean, when we were growing up, and if you were a rebellious teenager, which I don't think really any of us really were in the grand scheme of things, but if you were and you wanted to stick your fingers up at authority and conformity and be a little different and be more individualistic, which lots of teenagers, of course, naturally want to be, certainly back in the day when we were younger, you became an emo or you became a goth. So do you think there's any emo hobbits or any goth hobbits?
wow, that
Now you're asking the real questions.
black eyeliner. What would they use for eyeliner? Like, I don't know. Just
how would they straighten their hair?
I don't know. Rosie seems to have nice hair.
And they'll have to dye it black.
It's curly though.
And there's no electric instruments out then either. What does emo music sound like to hobbits? What is emo music to hobbits like?
People banging stones together, is it?
Just like blowing vigorously into flutes.
Oh man, controversial.
Yeah, very controversial.
But I mean, there must have been some teenagers dragged to this party with their mammy. I don't want to go to Bilbo's party. And then Mammy Hobbit is like, oh, you have to go. He's giving away clocks. Hanging out behind one of the tents with their friends, smoking Old Toby or something like that.
Yeah, that's probably what they did.
You know what though? Hobbits give presents on their birthdays. So how could you be so depressed with the world when you're getting like a present every week? It'd be hard to be emo in a world where you're getting a present every week.
And as well as I do that being an emo or being a goth had nothing to do with being depressed.
That's true. But it's hard to be that dark when you're getting so many.
I feel like depression is probably uniform across all groups, or close to it as possible, and it has absolutely nothing to do with putting purple flicks in your hair and your fringe or anything like that.
Yeah, that's fair play. You've got me on that one.
But I just want to go back to that. Does every single Hobbit give away presents on their birthday, or did Bilbo just do it because he was just so fucking rich?
I think it seems like they all give them away. Just Bilbo gave away higher quality.
Right.
His shit was actually worth getting, whereas everyone else was getting, I don't know, an old leaf.
Totally.
Steal a piece of bread.
So it's like the opposite. Like everyone that attends your party, you have to get them a gift rather than the other way around.
An expensive time of year.
Jesus, what did they do for Christmas?
Didn't they say something like you're getting a present on average once a week in the Shire or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It's probably why people's houses are so filled with fucking mathoms and tap. You know,
The circle of
give them
shite.
out just to get them back. And you keep it now. There's an old cup that's broken. I'll keep that. I'll give that to Owen for his birthday. Jeez, that's my old toothbrush. I won't throw it in the bin. Deggy's birthday is coming up.
And right,
I'll give it back to you then. Your
that's
birthday.
exactly it. Gift passing on, you know. How much of that went on, you know? A toque gets you something and you're like, you know what, fuck it, I have something coming up next week. I'll pass it on. And then like the awkward moment when they catch you passing on the present you received from them last week. You know, that must have happened. Surely, with such a high turnover rate.
Don't give that to me, Deggy. I gave that to you last year, you ungrateful bastard.
It was like the bread maker in old school.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Exactly like bread.
Yeah, he's going around giving it to everyone. You know, it reminded me though of, you know, when you're a little kid and you get to go to a birthday party and they'd send you home with a goodie bag.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
The
with a few
goodie
sweets in it and like a piece of cake, and you're like, oh, this is the best day ever.
Drafts Fun Centre, you used to go out there, oh, it was just the best day ever, and then you come out with...
You don't get goodie bags at adult parties unless they're very different.
Yeah.
They don't call it bag end for nothing.
Yes, Oisín, yes. Well, yeah, I mean, I've gone through the chapter with a fine-tooth comb, and I noticed that of all the hobbits there, maybe they can handle their drink, but nobody seemed to make a mess of themselves. Nobody got up on the table and started, you know, shouting expletives at people or something, and that's what made me think maybe the Shire isn't so like Ireland at all.
But like,
At least half. No, he did. He said something like the people who had to get brought home by wheelbarrows. Didn't he?
No, I just thought that they were too sleepy. It was people who stayed too long, and they had to get the wheelbarrow home.
I don't know. Maybe he used it as a catch-all term.
Jeez, you could
Someone
be
had
right.
to get brought
You
home.
could be right. There was a bit of wheelbarrow action. All right, yeah. And do you think that there's a legal drinking age in the Shire, or are there 12-year-olds walking around in a stupor?
that's the thing, like, yeah, what is it, from you're young until you're 33 is basically a teenager as a hobbit, so where did they draw the line of when you can start drinking?
So Frodo only started drinking after he turned 33?
Surely not, like, surely they've been
In-
supping for the last fucking...
In the films, they make Merry and Pippin seem like they're wild excited the first time they get a pint in the Prancing Pony. But whether that's an accurate reflection, though, or not.
I thought that was more about the size of it as opposed to the content.
Yeah, it's a human pub, isn't it? So
You
it's
know,
like...
like a
that
pint
was
is
a
the
wee
size
treat.
of our head. Yeah.
But they're used to drinking it itself. I don't know.
What's the equivalent of a pint in Hobbiton? What are they getting? A half?
Yeah, maybe little baby pints.
Probably a half baby pint.
Hello, I'll have a baby pint for my baby-sized friend.
But they seem to be able to take their drink and food and everything like that quite well, so...
Start them when they're young from the bottle. That's what I say.
Well, Oisín, when was the first time you got drunk?
I actually remember it. The first piece of alcohol I remember having was
let me
sort
stop
of
you right there.
schnapps or
When
something.
was the first time you got drunk?
14 or 15, I'd say.
Standard in this country. Yep,
It's-
standard. We have a proper problem with alcoholism and alcohol abuse in this country.
Gets
He's good though.
While we drink.
Let's keep it light.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be sponsored by Diageo for responsible drinking at some stage. Any wild stories from it? Like, what were you doing? Drinking in your room on your own, or what was happening?
What was it? No, it was... there was this family party on or something, and I remember sitting at the front of the house with some cans. There was just so many people there, no one could keep track of who was drinking. Everyone was drinking, so I was like,
Well, sure, this is
join
it,
in.
you know. I suppose from a parent's point of view, they know that you're going to go drinking when you're in that kind of middle teens. So they may as well keep an eye on you and let you have a can or two and let you think you're wild while you're doing it around them.
Oh, I did that too, like, and ended up hugging the toilet. That wasn't as enjoyable, though.
And what about you, Owen? When was the first time you got drunk?
The first time I drank, it was quite close to the, as far as, you know, Hobbit fucking parties and all that kind of stuff. It was, there was a marquee out the back. It was my sister's wedding party, right? I was only 10 or 11 at the time. Oh no.
No, even that is too
But
young.
this is when I got drunk. Yeah, for the very first time.
Jesus.
But I must have been 11, maybe. Yeah, that's still. But yeah, I think it was about then. Because I was trying to work. I was trying to work out today when she got married, and it's around that time, yeah. But they had this party, and
So what were you drinking? What?
right. So I'll tell you what happened. So I was in charge of the drink. Like my parents don't drink. Yeah, my parents don't drink at all. So they were like, he's only 10 or 11. Like he can just hand people out bottles of beer and all this kind of stuff.
Oh my god!
I take the bottles of beer off people too, and every single bottle. If there was something at the bottom, like a bit of drink, I'd slug on it because I was like,
rotten. It's not only were you drinking, but you got a cold sore as well.
oh, stop the spit at the end of everyone's bottles. But now there was somewhere there was like a good bit left at the bottom, and I used to hide it in the back room and then go in and drink it. But that was my job, yeah, just make sure everyone was fed drinks.
So what did you start doing? Did you start falling around the place, starting fights with people?
I puked.
Nice.
But I'd say I only had about 2 bottles worth. I actually had a bit of white wine as well. To this day, I can't drink white wine.
Situation, I suppose.
Yeah, so I was 10 or 11 years old, and I got drunk and puked from white wine, and now I can never drink it again. And that's a lesson I learned.
The best.
Yeah, we really have a serious problem in this country. And what about you, Deggy? I suppose you waited until you were 18. You know, you're too busy taming horses and being responsible.
Not at all, no. Still comparatively late, though. You know, I'd say I was about 15. And it was just me and my cousin, who was like a seasoned drinker at this stage. Not that he was much older, mind you, but he was just, you know, he started at about 13 and he was well able for it. And you know, at 15, you want to put on like a bit of bravado. And I'm insecure now, but can you imagine how insecure I was at 15? But and he was a hardy man. He could put away maybe 8 cans before, you know, you could see any real effect in him. So that was, you know, I was like, right, that's the standards I have to live up to. So, you know, first can went down all right, and you know, that was fine. Second can started to feel a bit merry. Third can, you know, you're starting to feel like, I get why people do this now. You know, I get it. But come the end of that 4 can, the room started spinning. I just couldn't find my balance. And I would say I emptied.
Too much, too soon.
Oh, too much, too soon. And I emptied whatever I had into me down the toilet. You know, it was a rough introduction. But I was mad to get back on straight after, like, you know, I was like, right, room for more now. You know, this is how he does it.
The next day.
And you know what?
Hair of the dog.
A sneaky puke has stood with me to this day. You know, it mightn't be 4 cans anymore, but there's something to be said for it.
Wee sneaky puke. Wee sneaky puke. Well, you know what? It's a lesson nobody can teach you.
No.
It's just one you have to learn.
No, you have to learn that the hard way.
You know what I mean? How to do a sneaky puke, where is appropriate, when is the optimum time for it, just to keep yourself going. Yeah. Again, at this point, guys, I want to stress that we are big fans of responsible drinking. Don't binge.
But everyone has had bad experiences.
Etc. I'm very serious. And we would particularly encourage drinking responsibly if you want to drink responsibly.
And Ross, when's the first time you've got drunk?
Well, Owen, I thought nobody would ask, so thank you. No, it's not a great story, really, in terms of me coming out of it looking well. I think I was about 12 or 13. A lot of my school-age friends were a little bit older than me. I was over in my friend Kieran's house, and yeah, we just got up to a little bit of devilment. Yeah, and he knew where his parents kept the drink, and they were away for whatever reason. You know, I'm not going to incriminate any adults on this podcast. I think I had 2 cans of Scrumpy cider. Yep, Scrumpy. I thought it tasted like apple juice. And of course I had that bravado of, you know, I'm fine, you know, young teenage insecure boy. And then I had a bottle of a blue Alco Pop.
Nice.
Just one of those sugar drinks. And yeah, I think I cried. It was the most embarrassed I'd ever been in my life up until that point. And but by the time Monday rolled around, I walked into school. I was a foot taller, and I thought I was the boy. So yeah, that's it. Really, an inglorious start to a long career. I assume that the Hobbits have a similar kind of drinking culture and all the same issues that we have over here on our little island.
Yeah.
Because as we've already pointed out, the only place of business that seems to be propagated by people who aren't producers in the entire world of the Shire is the pub.
Yeah.
By the look of it, anyway. So yeah, I'm sure they can relate. If any Hobbits out there are listening. Now, if all of Hobbiton was at this party, do you think that there was many burglaries or anything while everyone seemed to be away?
I was thinking about that, but then I remember our conversation with the sheriffs and just their lack of need for them, so probably not. Like, surely if shit like that was happening on the reg, they would have a way of stopping it. Like, parties happen the whole time. They're always celebrating something.
But this was a special party.
I'd say I'll come in with the point that if you're going to be burgling someone's house, you're probably just going to be taking back the stuff that you gave them on your birthday anyway. But if there's one party a year that you have to go burgling shit, it's going to be Bilbo's.
It's going to be Bilbo's. It's going
to be gold in them tunnels.
Who's looking after Bag End?
Exactly.
Were you going to say something there, Dag?
No.
That was scary.
It's gonna be Bilbo's. It's definitely gonna be Bilbo's. I was gonna make that point if you didn't get to it on. That's where it's gonna be.
Yeah.
I actually think maybe, like, if they're gonna rob something, they do it in front of you. Like Frodo's, like in the end of the chapter, it says Frodo's in the house and there's people just rummaging in the cupboards and in one of the rooms, just taking his stuff. They don't care.
If you find hidden treasure. Then finders keepers.
Yeah, it's yours.
Even if it's in his drawer.
Yeah, if it's in his house, it doesn't matter.
Society is this tone.
So, if you're going to get robbed, they'll be polite enough to do it right in front of you and just give you the fingers and walk off.
In the book, when I was reading it, it was like some of them were talking to Hamfast about like some secret or new tunnels that Bilbo has that are overflowing with gold, and Ham is just like, no, doesn't exist. You can even ask Sam. So they must have been looking and found nothing.
They were looking, they knew.
Yeah.
Inside job.
Inside job.
Trying to get in with the Gamgees to get a bit more information, like.
Keeping up with the Gamgees.
What's the relation there between the Bagginses and the Gamgees? They live on the same hill?
The Gamgees live under or below.
Seems like they live up on like Dunamore Lane, the fancy street.
The fancy top of the hill. Yeah. And what, the Gamgees live in
down
Castle Lodge?
Yeah, they're looking down at them, maybe. Just further down.
And what are they? They're like generational gardeners. It's like their trade or something.
Good honest living.
Yeah, apparently so.
And I suppose masters of potatoes. I cannot stress how impressive that is to me. I love spuds. Boil them, mash them.
Nothing wrong with following a trade, though, is there, Deggy?
Absolutely nothing wrong. Absolutely. That's it. Master of spuds, like, that's an honourable position. I could only dream of a job with such prestige.
Illustrious. I imagine that people came from all across the land to ask Hamfast about the crop, preparing it and nursing it. And geez, I just hope he got the credit that he deserves.
I was more angling towards the fact that Deggy is a floor like his father. That's what I was going with that. He followed his father's footsteps.
I share, a lot of commonalities with, the Gamgees. Like, he's the, Sam, the true hero of the story. Me, the true hero of this podcast.
You're both kind of ginger.
Well, I suppose you can't carry the podcast for us.
No. But I can carry yous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and you nearly didn't make it, I'd have to say.
Oh, it was a close call.
Yeah.
Well, if we can return to the book, lads, I have a bit of a question.
Yeah, if we must.
Yeah, no, I think we must. Thanks for keeping me on my toes there, Oisín. Do you know what? I see what Bull was talking about. You know, you are a bit of a bully, actually. Yeah, a bully maybe. So yeah, my question was Bilbo a bit of a dick?
Yeah, I think if I was related to the Sackville Bagginses, I'd be a dick too. They seem like they drive anyone up the wall.
Right. But then why did he invite them?
I don't know. Is that what you do with family? You just invite them no matter what. Look at me on this podcast.
But there was a party within the party. So say if he invited 1,000 hobbits, then he invited a further gross. Thank you for our eagle-eared listeners. They'll know that that's 144.
That's an ugly word, Ross.
It is an ugly word, yeah. So for the gross that made it to the party within the party, why did he invite them again? The Sackville Bagginses. What, to just rub in their face like, ha ha, Frodo got my money, or just to say I don't like you that much or something? He seems like a bit of a dick.
Yeah, it seems like his trip made him a bit psychopath.
I don't know, Owen, what do you think? Was Bilbo a dick?
Look, it's hard to tell. Like, at the start of the book, Gamgee was just telling people, don't judge him, you know. I've known Bilbo a long time, and he's a very nice hobbit, and I don't think he is. It seems like the people who actually knew him thought he was sound, and then everyone else was just jealous.
That was his employee.
Yeah, but like, are people employees, or like, does he actually pay him, or is it?
You know, are you going to badmouth your employer in public?
Yeah, that's true.
Not that I'm questioning the gaffer's integrity now, but you know, there is a relationship between them two, and power flows one way. But for example, look at the presents that he gave out. Bilbo, look at the gifts that Bilbo gave out. Right, he gave the Sackville Bagginses some bits, you know, to rub their noses in his wealth or whatever. Right, they tried to rob him, so they're dicks. Okay, whatever. But you know what he gave the gaffer?
What?
He gave him 2 bags of spuds.
Yeah, that was quite cheap.
Gave the gaffer spuds. I mean, if any man didn't need spuds, it's the gaffer.
Yeah.
Where did Bilbo get his spuds from? Only from the gaffer. I don't know. Daggy, help me out here. Was Bilbo a dick?
No, you know what? You say he gave him spuds, right? He didn't just give him spuds, Ross. You know, he gave him a new spade. You know, I'm sure if the gaffer would appreciate anything, like, you know, a new spade. As a man who works with tools himself, to receive a new spade, which would be the equivalent of some floor and utensil I'd use, I'd be like, yeah, you know what, cheers mate, that's a useful practical gift. And not only that, but he gave him a waistcoat as well. He wants the man looking well when he's out in the field, you know what I mean? I think he's I don't think he's a dick. I think that he knew who to be nice to. On Owen's point, I think he, you know, people who maybe talk behind his back a little bit, you know, he was up front and giving them shit, but he looked after the people close. You know, I don't think he was a dick.
Yeah, well, I feel like, you know, the gaffer works on his knees outside. You know, maybe he's not going to wear fancy clothes that often. You know, listen, maybe I'm reading what I want here. Maybe I'm reading what I want.
I think the other presents were a bit like that, but not the. I think the one to Hamfast was genuine.
What else did he give out? He gave out a set of spoons to a woman who tried to steal from him.
Yeah, I know. The other ones were the umbrella. He gave someone an umbrella because they kept stealing his umbrellas.
Yeah,
I thought that was good. And he gave someone a mirror because she loved herself.
No, that's just pure arseholery.
Yeah, but I can appreciate that though. That's fun. If you're going to give out these little presents to people, you may as well enjoy doing it and get a bit of a kick out of it yourself.
Well, I suppose I'm getting outvoted here. I'm the only one who thinks he's a dick.
I know, like he does have dickish tendencies, definitely, but I just think it's like people, even like throughout the chapter 1, a lot of people are mentioning like you know, the whole anti-aging thing. They just don't like him for it, and they probably don't understand why, that he's fucking 111 and he looks like he's 70. A lot of
it's tall poppy syndrome a little bit, isn't
it?
So, you know, they hate him because of he lives longer than them. They hate him because he's richer than them. Yeah, it's kind of like how we hate Bull because he's more successful than us.
Yeah.
One thing that annoyed me about Bilbo was I just didn't understand the disappearing act. I didn't understand that at all.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but I didn't get the joke. Basically, is what I'm saying.
It's got a flair for the dramatic. You gotta appreciate it. Like, every party has to have a high point. And
that was it.
And that was it. That was the big.
A man disappearing for no apparent reason.
It was the ultimate Irish goodbye, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's it.
Instead of listen,
I guess, when you look at it that way,
I'm going. It's no. I'm going to the Jacks and not coming back. The man did it in front of everybody. If I could do it myself, I would.
I absolutely love that conversation that Bilbo and Gandalf have back at the gaff. I think it's one of the most legendary conversations in this whole book. It's just absolutely brilliant. I love it so much.
What one?
You know the one,
What's
drop the ring. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will. No,
drop and then he doesn't, and he keeps walking away with it.
I'll drop it now in a minute. Right, I'm away, Gandalf. Good luck to you. I said, Bilbo, drop it. Fuck off, will you? Jesus.
The ring, Bilbo. Over his eyes.
And then Gandalf gets all angry, like, I'm not a sorcerer. And then he turns off the lights. It's
the first real indicator of, where you're going, isn't it? It's, Yeah,
just a wee hint there. It's not all fairy tales here, folks.
No, it's where the story really starts.
Well, one of my favourite things I noticed that I wanted to say to you lads was Gandalf was a bit of a devil, wasn't he? Just there at the end when Bilbo said, I've thought of an ending for my book. Everyone lived happily ever after. Real original there, Bilbo. But then Gandalf just says to him, but what does it matter? No one will read it anyway. And I don't know what you thought, but if Gandalf and Bilbo were doing a podcast and Gandalf was bullying Bilbo like that, would Bilbo quit and have to be replaced by Deggy?
I'm available for that podcast. That's one that would seriously interest the Patreons.
What I thought about Gandalf was he's much stricter than in the film. In the movie, like when he comes into the village, all the kids chasing him down the little path. Oh, it's Gandalf. And he lets off some fireworks to keep them happy, but absolutely none of that in the book. Not giving away any. He's like, wait for the party, I don't know.
No, Bilbo gave them money.
No, he gives them nothing.
Bilbo gave them coppers or something.
Straight and narrow.
Coppers.
There's also a couple of dwarves that turned up, wasn't there?
Yeah, they mind the house. Yeah, they were minding the house when
they were packing up all his goods or something, weren't they? Because before Bilbo left, he asked, "Is everything packed and ready?" He had the dwarves in doing his dirty work. Good man.
I'd love to have met them dwarves. Just to see do we know
them. Who are they? Who's their fathers?
And also, it's Frodo's birthday. Completely cut out of the movies.
Yeah.
No.
And it was a bigger birthday than anyone else's because he's fucking 33. It's his coming of age.
Yeah, it was his coming of age one. No one gave a shit. Elijah Wood can go and shite.
He did get bag end in fairness. So.
Yeah, and he got a nice gaff. Better than living in a badger hole.
Yeah. But I remember one thing going back to
Never worked a day in his life. Not one day has that fella worked.
I'm going to go back to something you said there, Ross, about Gandalf being cheeky. And I remember reading some part, and it was quite at the end where, quite near the end where Bilbo was just about to leave, and Gandalf's like, Bilbo says, it made it easier for me to give up my ring on my birthday because I was giving out presents on my valuables anyway. So it was like the Gandalf pick a day where he was already giving everyone anything just so he could, tempt him to get rid of the ring too because he felt so fucking hard.
Whoa.
Oh, look at Owen actually doing analysis.
Literary review. Wow, I did not see that coming on this podcast. Wow, there I was, drinking cans, flicking me bean. And he swoops in with an actual interesting point. I didn't see it coming. Fuck me.
I just remember of the whole chapter. I read that and I was like,
that's a very good take.
It just stuck with me. I'm like, I have to mention this because it seems like something that should be mentioned. But I remember reading it, I was like, yeah, that's actually brilliant from Gandalf. He just give everything else valuable away.
And to give it to Frodo, the one person he actually likes.
Yeah, is there any way we can tie that up with the fact that until Bilbo used the word precious, Bilbo just thought that, Gandalf didn't realise what Bilbo had in his hand until he used that word precious. You know, he just thought it was another run-of-the-mill kind of
I know.
magic ring.
I love that it's Gandalf's so wise, and even he couldn't make that connection. He knew he had something weird, but never thought about it that much, apparently.
Well, yeah, I mean, the book is certainly different than the movie. You know, in the movie, it's kind of shot in such a way that it looks like Gandalf is like, what?
Yeah.
Oh no, and he's off in a panic, and he's away, and he runs back as quickly as he can because he realizes what's going on here. But what we find going forward now into the next chapter is that, you know, it's the guts of 20 years between this scene and Frodo leaving, realizing he's got the one ring. So it is very different. Like, he still has to puzzle it out.
Do you remember what Gandalf says in the book? Expect me when you see me.
Great line.
That was brilliant. Like, perfect. Yeah. When else are you going to see me?
Yeah. It's like the beginning of a rap album.
Gandalf's got spitting rhymes.
Very good. So, I mean, overall, do you
Very
think,
good.
Oisin, I'll come to you. Do you think that this is a good start to what you know is going to turn into an absolutely epic story?
Oh, absolutely. Well, even if I didn't know what was coming before, what was coming after, and of course I do, like, I've read it before, I've seen the movies, but I just think it sets it up so nice here. It's like, what is going on here? Man's disappearing, rings, what's happening? It's getting me excited just to read more. I'm holding myself back from going too far into it,
But there is a lot of giveaways in that sense too. Like, I remember one line before Bilbo gave up the ring. He said, "Sometimes I felt like it's an eye looking at me." I'm like, just you wait.
Yeah. Well, that's
Shivers.
actually one of the biggest differences, I think, between the movie and the books, is the eye of Sauron. In the movie it's just a big eye, but in the book Sauron's a dude. You know, he's walking around. He's got a pair of boots on. You know.
Yeah, it's not a physical eye, like it's.
Yeah, he's not an actual eye. You know, wreathed in flame. I see.
he definitely knew something was happening at the party, like that someone was wearing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm. Go on.
Ask your question.
You're talking. Go
Can I
on.
ask a question just on the ring? If Gandalf didn't know the significance of the ring, like, you know, until Bilbo said, "My precious," why was he so determined that Bilbo handed the ring over?
Well, lads, I'll field this question here, and feel free to jump in and interrupt me if you've anything to add. But what I think happened there, Dougie, is Gandalf says that there are many magical rings, but he doesn't mean hundreds or thousands. He means like 20 odd. You know, so there's the one ring, obviously, that's missing. There's the 3 elven rings that are accounted for. I mean, for God's sake, Gandalf's wearing one of them, and he knows where the other 2 are. There's the 9 rings for men that the Nazgul all have, obviously, and then there is the dwarf rings, which I think by and large aren't accounted for. So I think that as Bilbo was running around with dwarves and they were looking for dwarven treasure and this, that, the other during the Hobbit, Gandalf might assume that Bilbo has one of the dwarf rings. And he goes off then, you know, he can't really assume that Bilbo has the one ring because it's too large a coincidence. It's his biggest nightmare, and he doesn't want to think about it.
It wouldn't even cross your mind.
So, you know, common knowledge at the time was that the one ring, was at the bottom of an ocean somewhere because everyone knows it was lost in a river. And all rivers lead to the ocean, so they assume it's at the bottom of an ocean somewhere. And then he goes off for 20 years after this chapter. I think doing some research accounted for the dwarven rings, kind of process of elimination type thing. And then obviously he comes across a single page that says you should chuck it in a fire and you'll find out from there, or what have you. I'm sure proper fandom on the internet will listen to this and shout at me because I got it wrong, but that's my kind of interpretation.
Perfect explanation.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer.
Well, listen, I'm butchering that there, lads, and I'm making up a wee bit as well, so it could all be wrong.
No, that's exactly
brilliant.
what happened to it. Like, you've convinced me that's what happened.
Okay, right. Sure, that's probably a good enough place really to wrap it all up and leave it there, unless anyone has anything else to add on the chapter.
I think we've covered it all.
Yeah, I think that's everything. Pretty happy with that.
Yeah. That's good.
Certainly. Thank you very much, Ross.
Right, excellent stuff. So that's everything from me. Say goodbye, lads.
Bye.
Good luck.
Bye.
Right, and yes, make sure to like, share, subscribe the podcast from wherever you get it, from wherever you're listening. Follow us on social media for some extra content, and even have a look at the Patreon if you're so way inclined. So that's it from us. Join us next week for more Drunk Talk, and goodbye. Yep.